Hello and welcome to the Camden Connect experience. I'm Richard Leathers, and with my colleague Christina Roscroft, we're going to talk about remote and blended audits and inspection. So this has been precipitated by a statement that's come through from the GFSI, and the GFSI are the Global Food Safety Initiative. And due to the pandemic that has meant that we are remote rather than able to see you face to face, the GFSI have published a document that has approved benchmarking requirements that will allow for the use of ICT or information communication technology as part of GFSI benchmarked certification audits. So GFSI benchmarked certification audits are systems and schemes such as BRCGS, FSSC, Global Gap, etc. So obviously we're now more aware of remote and blended audits within the area to manage risk. So what are remote and blended audits? Well, a remote audit is a completely remote set of audit criteria. So this is done by a trained auditor with no on-site audit component. The blended audit is a completion of a little bit of both. It's a set of criteria using ICT for a portion of the audit, which is the remote part, and then an on-site audit requirement, again, done by a trained auditor. So the focus today, we're going to look at how this better identifies looking at true risk and auditing and inspecting based on that accordingly. We can't audit, or this has shown us in some respects that we can't audit in the old way of doing everything for everything. So we have to focus on the 2, 3 or 4 things that are key to managing the risk. It enables us to look at audit efficiency. It enables us to allow reviewing audit management requirements and expectations. What we can do is use it as a tool, as a teaching tool, to enable us to increase the pool size and ability of auditors. So we can have a remote auditor supported by a fully trained auditor dialing in, or a technical expert that can give support. It can also manage and smooth audit peaks. We all know how difficult it is to, allocate time to be able to go and do an audit, in far-flung parts of the world or far-flung parts of the UK or Europe, and actually we can smooth those peaks down. So some of the things that you need to consider for remote and blended audits: what is the historical performance of the site or supplier or laboratory from risk profiling, complaints, recalls, outcomes from previous audits, that type of thing? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they competent? Are there areas of concern? What is the ability and availability of looking at records and electronic forms? So can you see stuff clearly? Can you have access to all of those things? What is the capability of auditors to use that technology, and also access to technical experts? And what IT systems are available for both the auditor and the auditee, and they have to be compatible and agreeable. It's no good someone saying, well, we're using this platform, and somebody else saying, well, we use this platform, and you can't agree how you do it. Again, the capability of staff to use the technologies if you're doing on-site videos, but also the willingness to share information remotely. People might not be willing to send and upload videos and allow, integrated reality devices on site. And it does allow the future closure of any identified non-conformities via video or ICT. So, you might find something. It's not practical to go back to the site. So again, going forwards, this is potentially an improvement on what we've seen before, that to close a non-conformity effectively, you might need to see more than just paperwork evidence. So some of the tips that we've come up with: Camden BRI, we've gone down the route of looking at a HoloLens 2 device, which we'll see some short video clips shortly in one of our laboratories. We've looked at a number of devices, but this is one that because it's got the Microsoft platform, this is one that we felt best suited our needs. Not, I mean, we haven't endorsed it, but we felt that it was, a good platform for us to use. So some of the tips that we've said: make sure you practice in advance, and that's the auditor and the auditee. Make sure you've got auditor preparation and review of the key material. That's vital, because I've found in doing remote audits, either using this device or the HoloLens device or other remote abilities and functions, that actually you need a little bit more time in preparation. You have to understand the systems, because you can't walk the line in the same way that you did or will do when you're on site. Have backup plans. What are you going to do if things go wrong in terms of people and technology? If it can go wrong, it potentially will go wrong. Practice the use of the technology platform beforehand. So maybe do a trial run, a dummy test, to make sure that you know what you're doing and it works everywhere. In terms of making notes, and this is perpetually the thing that we find, we train at Camden BRI, we train lead auditors, and it's the notes and making sure you've got evidence of the audit. So make sure, if you're the auditor, to have a tab notebook or something that you can make sufficient notes, because that is the evidence of your audit that you can add information to as you need. Identify if there's any dead wireless zones. Any of you that have been to the Camden site, they know that mobile signal is, you almost have to lean out of a window to get mobile signal. And the same can be said sometimes for Wi-Fi. So make sure that you are aware where those good points are and also the bad points. Make sure you have a facilitator. If there's multiple people coming into a Teams meeting or dialing into a remote call via the HoloLens, make sure that everybody else is muted. You don't want 16 voices going on. That can be just confusing and makes the audit degenerate into a bit of a chicken coop. And make sure you keep things charged. We found typically we get 3 to 4 hours worth of extensive use from the HoloLens 2 device, which actually replicates an audit pretty well, because what you do is you have your opening meeting, go through some paperwork, then what you do is you go into the factory, come out, have lunch, and then go back into the factory again. Well, during those times that you can keep the device charged, and actually it doesn't take that long to charge the device. So in terms of preparation, we said here's some additional tips in terms of preparation. So these are things to do before the audit or inspection. Make sure that all policies, SOPs, work instructions, tables, calibration detail, or whatever you need to see are available, preferably in the sequence or order that you want to see them, of a procedure or a standard that you're following. So, for instance, the Camden Laboratory Accreditation Standard or an ISO standard, BRC standard, or Camden HACCP auditing, whatever it is, make sure that you're able to follow it, proficiently. Become familiar with the audio-visual platform that you've used, such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, BlueJeans, GoToMeeting, or WebEx. You throw a brick out the window and you hit 6 people on the head that have got different platforms. Make sure that you're more than capable and comfortable with all of them that are being used. Ensure you have a computer with a good camera and working microphone or integrated reality device such as HoloLens 2. Having pixelated images and things that drop in and out isn't a good thing to do. And make sure you're happy with any file sharing platforms being used as well. So things like Dropbox, OneDrive or Google Drive, and that data sharing. So those are preparation tips. These are on-site tips that we found are good to cover. Wi-Fi coverage, as we've said, is critical. Additional routers may be needed to be installed. Booster points. We've also, with Camden, we carry a mobile signal booster device, and that helps to grab the strongest signal. Test the Wi-Fi and potentially pick up a phone if possible in a Wi-Fi dead zone. So if you're, using an integrated reality device, or you're doing a Teams call or something like that, and you want to see or check traceability in a freezer, or go into a walk-in incubator or whatever it might be. Make sure you've got that function available. Again, become familiar with the technology and what you're using it for. So if you're looking for close-up fine detail work, and the video that we've got for you demonstrates the tripod mounted cameras. So if you're looking at a really delicate test or something like that, be prepared to mix and match the technologies a little bit and be a little bit flexible. Hold the device or headset chosen as still as possible when viewing. So again, we've seen on the previous point the tripod mounted, but it's very easy when you're wearing the headset to sort of look from here to there and left to right. That does make it jump around and will make it slightly more pixelated. You do get 180-degree vision, and it doesn't sort of you don't go tripping over things in front of you, but you do need to be aware that if you look from left to right and straight on and up and down, it can be difficult to follow that a little bit. And there's a note there at the bottom, as we've said, Wi-Fi doesn't work well inside coolers and chillers.
This is a short video clip to demonstrate the technology that we've been talking about in the earlier presentation slides, to demonstrate how technology can assist conduct audits remotely. For this particular exercise, we're in a microbiology laboratory, and hopefully you can see that this technology enables you to be in the laboratory real time, to look at the design and layout of the laboratory, how different activities are separated, and to also see people going about their routine day-to-day business. So you can stand and get a general look at how work is done, how they separate activities to minimise contamination risks. We can look at how plates are dried before use. And we can also look at various activities. For example, how agar is cooled before it's used, and by the headset it also enables us to check that the equipment is at the right temperature, which should be 46 plus or minus 1.
46.3, so excellent. This is great, and it's also got the calibrated devices here as well.
And because it enables us to look at the level of water in the water bath to make sure that it's correct for the agar within.
Shall I just take one of these up here?
Yes, certainly.
That's great, isn't it? Okay.
And it enables us as auditors to look at whether equipment needs to have correction factors applied when they are read.
Yeah.
In addition to enabling a virtual tour of laboratories to be examined remotely, headsets are portable, and wherever the wearer goes, you will go. This makes it very helpful looking at equipment and verifying that materials inside are being incubated, for example, in a tidy manner, contents not overfilled, and that there's evidence to demonstrate that the laboratory is tracking incubation periods when materials are due in and out, and just ensuring that the contents are organised without any risk of contamination. It also enables us to make sure that equipment is appropriately labelled, and we can then look at daily or weekly temperature checks that are being done, including temperature monitoring records. And the advantages of this technology is that we can see a lot of records without the need for a laboratory to scan several weeks' worth of records into the system.
So this is the one for this incubator, 12379.
Yeah.
And this is 12379 that's here. So that really helps us, doesn't it?
And as you can see, this particular incubator can run at different temperatures, and it enables you to see what temperature it's meant to be at.
So this one should be 36.1 to 38.1. How fantastic is that? Okay.
It also enables us to look at other equipment monitoring checks, including calibration certificates, without the need for the laboratory to send them in advance. This is balance number 15897, and this is the
Where would that be found on here?
On page 1.
Ah, 15897. Yeah, 15897. Let me just look at the device. Yeah, that's great.
So it enables us to look at the content of the certificate. If you'd like to turn it over to the second page, we can actually look at the calibration information, make sure that the right repeatability, linearity checks, off-center loading checks were done, and that the results are within limits that are acceptable, and that the measurement of uncertainty is known. We can also look at any records that the laboratory may do on a daily or weekly basis to verify the ongoing performance of the balance and that it's operating within parameters that they've requested.
So presumably would that be done annually and these would be done monthly or weekly?
Yes, or daily.
Yeah. Okay. And again, you've got document control up here, so it's all controlled, and that's in the appropriate laboratory book.
Also,
fantastic.
This technology enables us to look at testing activities at the bench, including positive colony recognitions. This is a Listeria monocytogenes plate, and we're looking for green colonies with a zone of opacity.
That's really good. I mean, you don't even need a plate count reader on that, do you?
Nope. This is a Bacillus cereus plate, and here we're looking for pink colonies with an egg yolk precipitation reaction in the agar.
Can I just put a piece of paper behind that?
You might find turning it the other way around easier.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a lot clearer, isn't it?
And this one is a Staph aureus on a bed Parker plate, where we're looking for black colonies with a zone of opacity and then a zone of clearing.
That's really clear, isn't it? Now, obviously, we've got the class standard and we've got other standards as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, here we've got the class standard. So if we were auditing in a laboratory, we could potentially look at clauses that were relevant here around hygiene. We've also got the BRCGS standard, and there's various clauses here on 6.4 on calibration. So what you could do is look at the particular relevant clause here and make sure that everything is being done accordingly, and you can upload documents onto the headset and device.
As we alluded to in the presentation before this demonstration, platforms like the HoloLens have an awful lot of advantages to auditing, but as everything, they may have some limitations in some environments. And if you are looking at very, very fine details at the bench level, this may be beyond their resolution. In which case, there are other technologies that can be available, such as this little tripod, which you can link into a mobile phone, and you can record very close up bench level practical work, which may not be possible to see as well with the HoloLens. But this is stationary and is only best suited to activities being done directly in front of it.
So maybe it's a combination of various technologies, such as the HoloLens, a phone device, a GoPro, Teams calls, Zooms calls.
Absolutely.
And I know here at Camden we've explored a lot of them to help our clients with the best service that we can.
Yep, and absolutely. And we've got a short little clip of showing this sort of technology at doing close-up bench work in microbiology, which will follow on from this.
And again, that can help us with compliance to laboratory certification and accreditation, but also certification around commercial standards such as BRC or something like that.
And I think this sort of technology enabling audits to be done remotely has, I think, a great future, not just to assist routine third-party audits like class accreditation or BRC certifications, but it can be used in other walks of life for troubleshooting audits, perhaps in countries where travel might be very difficult to get to. The HoloLens can be sent, the person can be trained to use it, and then the audit can be undertaken remotely.
But it helps analysing risk, because as you say, it's an expensive thing to send an auditor for a day to Brazil or Bolivia. If we can send a device, then we can manage that risk accordingly.
Absolutely, and I think there's going to be a blend of technologies. We obviously have to work with what a laboratory has available to it, and some audits may focus predominantly on one type of technology, other audits might have more than one technology that we can use. But I think it's we have to work in conjunction with the laboratory and what technology they have available. But we do have the means to actually look at practical work in a laboratory environment without actually being there.
Yeah, and obviously that rolls out to manufacturing and any troubleshooting, yeah. any service that a client might want.
Absolutely.
As well. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
I will do my catalase test. So I take the lid of a petri dish. I will add a few drops of catalase, which has been prepared by CPU. So first, I will start with my Bacillus cereus, which is my positive. I will just take a loop and then pop it into the drop, and there is bubbles created, which shows the catalase is working. And then for my negative control, which is the Enterococcus faecalis, same procedure. I just add a loopful into a drop, see that there are no bubbles working or being created. And then I will take my plate of TSAYE. In this case, I'm using my Almono. Got a few colonies. Okay, I can see that my Almono is creating quite a few bubbles. So then I will put in my paperwork that that is catalase positive.
So in summary then, there's some challenges that we've got as well as some benefits. So here are a list of some of the challenges of doing remote audits and inspections. Network stability, background noise and bandwidth interference. Some senses are not used, and these are some of the key auditor senses: smell, touch and perception. Doing remote is exactly that. It's remote. It can be additional stress to auditors at times, but we can use that as a training opportunity. And the resolution may limit the ability to witness important fine detail associated with some activities. So, as we've said, you might need to explore some alternative remote auditing technology. It's not a complete substitute to benefits of on-site auditor presence, and to some extent GFSI have recognised this, because at the moment they aren't allowing full off-site audits, full blended audits as a complete replacement. So we do respect that, and that is a factor as well. It's also dependent on the skill of the headset operative. Now we've drawn up an instruction list. It's not difficult, but you do need to allocate time to get that person up to speed. And it does and can alter the usual interaction and working rapport between the auditor and the auditee. It does become a little bit stilted, so you need to be aware of that. But the benefits, and there are a lot of benefits, it allows a more efficient in terms of interviews and audits. There's less people on the production floor, and as we've said, there's learning opportunities with recorded and remote access. It does allow better planning and sharing of evidence, and that's a key factor that we've seen going forwards. There is a fast and efficient real-time flow of evidence and documents. You really can see things really clearly, and we think you'll agree that when you look at the videos that are coming up, that really is true. It is an alternative when travel may be impractical or cost ineffective, and I think that's going to happen going forward. I think even when we can travel more following pandemic issues, I think we'll ask the question: well, do we really need to go to that place, or can we manage it another way? There's a recording capability to verify and support findings. We can dial in via a Teams call, or we can record using the device, and it really is high quality. There's a range of technologies and platforms available. So it's, although, Camden BRI have, gone down the route of exploring HoloLens, there are other mechanisms as well. And a combination of approaches may enhance the effectiveness of remote audits. So that's a picture of the device that we've got there. You've got mine and Christina contact details. Please feel free to get in touch with us if there's anything that we can help with you, and we'll be more than happy to help you. But there's, as we say, the videos will hopefully show you what we need to cover.